Alright guys, good morning and welcome to another technical analysis update. Today is the 6th of August 2022 and it's just gone 11 a.m. here in the UK. So that's 10 a.m. UTC. Apologies for not doing the stream yesterday. I was a little bit busy and family comes first, so it is what it is. So anyway, we just going to do the double check here with the mic and the video. Just make sure that everything's working fine. It does look like it's working fine. So I'll crack straight on. Basically, I just wanted to highlight that next week, on Wednesday, August the 10th, we've got the USD, or the Federal Reserve, has got the CPI print. Now, the CPI is basically the main measure of inflation, right? So with the non-farm payrolls and indicating a little bit sort of too high and sort of room for wiggle, even though it was positive, right? So this is I wanted to highlight this. So this week, let's have a look at here, the non-farm employment change here and unemployment rate, right? So you can see that the numbers are in green, so this is positive. But what it means, though, if it's positive for the economy, it's actually bad for us, because if it's positive, it means that they've got the Federal Reserve have got more room to wiggle, meaning that they can keep hiking the interest rates higher, and therefore, if the economy is showing signs of recovery, then obviously they're going to get a little bit more hawkish, but especially depending on the CPI print. So I know this sounds a little bit confusing, but nevertheless, I will explain this in a little bit more depth. Well, I think it's self-explanatory, but the CPI print, they're expecting 0.2, okay? And 0.5 on the core CPI. Now, if it comes out like on last month's core CPI and the CPI print, which was basically expected, I think it was expected at 0.5, 0.6, and it came out at 1.3. That was like really higher than expected, and if you remember, we had a massive dump as a result of that. So the expected rate is round about, or the forecast rate is around about 0.2%. Now, if it comes higher than that, then of course we're going to have a dump in the markets. If it comes out at more or less the expected rate, then we're going to rally. So that's kind of what is expected. I just wanted to highlight that so that you guys don't get caught offhand and offside in the markets. So like I said, that's August 10th on Wednesday. So I will have another TA update for you guys on Monday, so we should be able to tackle this. But let's have a look at the charts and see what we've got in turn for this weekend. Okay, so look at the S&P. It looks very bullish. Okay, there's no two ways about it, right? So if I put the trend stalker, we bounced on the 200 EMA, and then on top of that, with weekly levels, we kind of smashed through all of the weekly levels before, right? So now what is very sort of apparent is that we are inside this volume cluster here, right? And as such, as we are inside, as you can see here, I'm trying to draw it here so that you guys can see it. So this is basically the volume profile that I'm talking about, right? So as we've gone inside it, you can see here from the daily chart that we've come down. We've confirmed that this is support. We rallied. We came down again on that non-farm payrolls, but we couldn't even break below this previous low here. Okay, so the bears are looking weak. The bears are not looking like they want to give way. Okay, so this is perhaps, in my experience anyway, one of the most hated bear rallies that I've seen in a long time. I mean, I think a lot of people were caught short down here, so there was a short squeeze. Most definitely, this is the short squeeze here. But as a result of that, then everybody was thinking, okay, that was it. That was the bear market rally. We're going lower, and then more people got caught short here, and the shorts are getting punished, right? So we rallied higher. We haven't taken these highs on the weekly, right? On the daily even. Okay, so around about 4,200 points. Now, until we actually break above this, like I've been saying for the whole of last week and the weeks before that, until we actually break that, there's no change in market structure. We're still printing lower highs and lower lows, right? What you'll also notice here is that we've printed a higher this bear market rally. We swept those highs, so we went above it, and then we still dumped. Okay, so there's potential for a trap here. Now, the same here, right? So we kind of like couldn't take these highs. We came lower. We printed a high there. Printed a new low. And then what happens is that, so this was the high. we swept the highs, and then we dumped lower and printed a new low. So this keeps happening. Okay, so this could be nothing more than just a trap, right? We could come all the way up to here, right, which is definitely a change in market structure, but then we could still print a new low. So just because we change, like, you know, a break in market structure here going higher than the previous high does not mean that this is the beginning of the bull cycle. For me, what confirms that the end of the bear cycle, if you like, is basically printing a higher low. And that for me means staying higher than the 4,000 point mark. Okay, so if we print a higher high here and then go on to print a higher low, that for me indicates, and if we start going higher, that for me indicates that we're going much higher. But in my personal opinion is that, like we've seen here so many times, right, this high got taken out and then we dumped to new lows. So, you know, and again, this high got taken out and then we dumped to new lows. So what's different here, right? So we'll see. The CPI print, like I said on Wednesday, will be very telling, and I expect high volatility there. But right now, the level that you want to look out for on the S&P is around about 4,200 points. Okay, so maybe even 4,250, which is basically where the yearly VWAP is. You can see the 2021 VWAP is basically where the previous high was here, and that's, like I said at around about 4,200 points. Right, so that's on the higher time frame. On the lower time frames, and I'm going to highlight here on the 4-hour chart first and foremost. Okay, so let me just take that rectangle off and the VWAPs off as well. Okay. Oh, for some reason the VWAPs are like, there it is. Okay, so you can see here that we've left a set of poor lows, right, or equal lows if you like. We haven't taken that. Now, we did try and smash above, but there was weakness. It didn't really manage to get very far there, right? So we had printed a little range here. Let me just get the rectangles. Okay, we printed a little range there. And then we could not get much further up from there, and with that weakness, it showed the weakness. We came down, and then by basically trying to get back in that little range, we failed. We've been rejected so far. Okay, so it is hovering at resistance, but I just wanted to highlight this for context. Okay, and like I said, we've got equal lows sitting at around about 4,080 points. Now, you will also notice that there's a massive low volume area just below this. Okay, so basically this here is a reflection of this consolidation here. So that's basically a new balance area, and even though we got rejected from this top balance area, we're still well within this one here. Okay, so what remains to be seen now is, are we going to get accepted back above here, or are we going to continue to get rejected, go and test the lows, and then see what happens? At these lows, of course, that's a long, you know, that should be a long position, because obviously this is a range, this is the highs, these are the lows. You buy at the lows, you sell at the highs, right? But if, however, if we do break below this, okay, then we could be ending up all the way down in this range here, this balance area. Okay, so let's have a look at the 1 hourly chart and just make that a little bit more sort of like a little bit more granular so that you guys can see. So here's the area that we got rejected from, right? So we were kind of ranging there for a bit. There was an impulse, range, right? Range, impulse, range. We got rejected from there pretty harshly, okay? And in fact, we've been rejected from that area now 3 times that we've attempted to get back within, right? So this blue line here, which is a previous high that had been swept, I'm going to make it a little bit thicker, right? So this is a line that I was looking for, and I'm going to put that as a straight line. You can see that was the top of the range, right? Came down, we retested it again, we swept and deviated above, right? As we deviate above, we go straight to the other side of the range, right? So here, you can see that twice we got, we bounced on that level there. Now that level is an hourly level, and I'll show you just now what it is. And you can see here there's an order block there, or an FTR, a flag limit, whatever you want to call it, right? So you can see that candle there, right? Let me just make it a little bit bigger, right? So it's the last down candle before the first impulse up, okay, into this range. Now, usually what happens is that there's pending liquidity here, there's residual liquidity here. That residual liquidity will get consumed eventually, potentially, right? Or not, it will just go straight up. But if the price does come back down, like it did here and here, that residual liquidity tends to get consumed. Now, this was propped up really strongly because the wicks didn't even come all the way down, meaning that all of this residual liquidity did not even get tapped. Okay, so there's a strong buyer there, and that flag limit has not been taken. So I do expect this to hold as support for a little bit longer, right about $4,080. Sorry, 4,080 points, and maybe for, as low as 4,068 points. Okay, either way, this flag limit area here is support. Okay, and this blue line here, which was previous resistance, now that we've been rejected from the top balance, which is this top balance here, now that's resistance as well now. Okay, so this line here is resistance, this here is support, and we're stuck inside this big high volume cluster, which is basically what I was trying to illustrate on the higher time frames, right, on a 4-hour chart, etc. So here basically what remains to be seen is, will we get acceptance back above $4,150? I keep going with the dollars because of Bitcoin, but it's 4,150 points, right? If we get back above here and we confirm that this is indeed support, now the next target will be all the way up here, 4,170 points and above, 4,200, 4,250 points, which is basically what we were looking at on the weekly chart. Okay, but acceptance above here means almost certainly that we go and retest these highs here, and then here I'd be very surprised if we come back down again, because this means acceptance back inside of this range. All right, so however, we're not seeing that at the moment. All we're seeing is rejections there. Okay, so in that case, my bias is always to the downside, and like I said, I think that we have plenty of room to wiggle all the way down here. Now, I'm not sure if this will happen over the weekend. It probably won't happen over the weekend, but what could potentially happen is that in anticipation of that CPI print coming out negative, or coming out very higher, a lot higher than expected, that we might see some positions unwinding here, right? Especially as this is showing kind of weakness here. So on Monday, we might see some positions unwinding, and we might see the price slowly coming back to the lows here in expectation of that CPI print as people unhedge here, right? So this is basically what I'm saying. This is just a narrative. This is me just trying to make sense out of it. It's not what the chart's telling me, okay? What the chart's telling me is that we're definitely at resistance, okay? And if we look at the 30-minute chart, we are hovering at this resistance, even though we've been rejected so many times, okay? The more this gets tapped here, the more likely it is that we break to the upside. However, it's resistance until proven otherwise, and nobody can tell me different, okay? So this is resistance. We're currently at resistance at the range highs. This is the range high, this is the range low, and we're currently at the range highs at resistance when we've already been rejected from the top range. So this for me is a short, okay, in my personal opinion. And I think a lot of people that take the volume profile and trade the volume profile will probably see it as such, unless something news driven comes out, and of course it pumps this, which is the problem with the S&P and all of these traditional finance, is that a lot of it is news driven, okay? But I trade charts, and this is basically what it's telling me. We're at resistance. We've been rejected from the previous balance, okay? Therefore, the narrative means that we're going to try the other side of the balance, okay? We've just confirmed this. We've bounced exactly on the point of control. If you know the rules of dynamics, is that basically when we enter a new balance area, so we've got a balance area here. In fact, let's just do it like this, right? So we've got a balance area here. We've got a balance area here. Okay, so imagine that we've got a volume profile like this. We've got a volume profile like this. We've got the point of control somewhere here. We've got the point of control somewhere here. Once we've been sort of bouncing here, and sort of this is the balance area. Once we get into an imbalance, right, meaning that we come out of this balance area, what tends to happen is that we test that balance area again just to check that in fact we have been rejected, or if it's just a sweep. If it confirms that it's definitely rejected here, we go and seek new balance, okay? And then when we enter a new balance area, the thing that tends to happen is we confirm that we are inside the balance by checking that edge, right? Once we get accepted back inside of that balance, the only thing that can disrupt going to the other side of the balance is the point of control, right? And that's basically going all the way up here. This is the point of control, and then we go and test. If you do bounce there, if it disrupts rule number 1, which means that when we enter a new balance, we test both sides of the balance area. Once we actually bounce on that point of control, we go and retest this edge again. Now, will this edge still be resistance, or do we get rejected there? If we get rejected there, then basically we go either back to the point of control, or most likely we go to the other side of balance. Okay, so those rules are perfectly applied in most volume profile or most time frames. Okay, and you can see that perfectly here. So this was a balance area. We got rejected from the balance area. We came out of the balance area, and where do we bounce? We bounce on the point of control, which is the highest volume node of this balance. Okay, that's exactly where we bounced, right? So we bounced there. We've come all the way back to that edge of balance, and now we're going to check, are we actually going to be accepted back on the previous balance, or are we going to get rejected here? If we get rejected here, then it's back to this level here, and perhaps even the other edge of balance, which is way down here. Okay, it's no coincidence that we've got this here formed by this price action here. Okay, so I hope this kind of like, it's a little bit of a lesson in terms of volume profile and in terms of like sort of balance areas, etc. So I didn't want to make this too big a TA, but I just wanted sort of you guys make sense out of this, right? So basically acceptance back above here is bullish, rejection here is kind of bearish on a short term, and we'd be heading down to these levels here with potential for disruption about here, around about 4,100 points. Okay, so I kind of hope that makes sense, and it kind of helps you guys sort of like better position in your trades. As you know, the S&P or Bitcoin is very closely correlated to the S&P. So whatever the S&P is doing is what Bitcoin's going to do. So anyway, that's that for the S&P. On Bitcoin, we're pretty much, I'm going to look here on Coinbase first. I just wanted to show you something. Of course, if you haven't been following, now you know. This is the value area low of 2022, and we've been rejected there. Okay, so on a higher time frame, on a bigger scale, if you like, this here on the weekly chart is just been a massive rejection. Well, not massive, but a big rejection of a very important level here. Okay, doesn't mean it's bearish just yet. So let me work up to it, please. So here we go. We go on to Bybit chart, right? On the Bybit chart, you can see that basically we've printed a weekly close here. The last weekly close, right, was very, very bullish. We'd come basically all the way down here. We bounced on the previous weeks, and we wicked all the way back up, and we closed up above. We did go all the way up here, but then we came all the way back down below this daily level here, and now we've printed a weekly level here. Now, this week, what we want to find out is, can we close above $23,300? If we can close above this weekly level here, then this weekly level becomes irrelevant and we're going higher. Okay. However, if we close below 23,300, this level is now strong resistance. Okay, until proven otherwise. And that means that we could potentially be ranging between 23,300 and 20,800. Okay, so basically between these two levels here, between these two weekly levels. All right, so that's from a weekly close kind of perspective. A lot of people look at these, so that it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, I tend to look at value, I tend to look at VWAPs, so let's just look at that, and I want you to sort of like focus on that. In fact, let me just show you this on the 4-hour chart, just so that you see where that weekly level is. It's very, very close, 23,300. Okay, so you know, I've got an anchored VWAP here from this swing high here that we went all the way to 24,700, and that has been proving as resistance for quite some time now. That's the purple line, if you guys not sure what I'm talking about. Right, and I'm just going to take this VWAP off so it becomes less confusing, and you can see that that anchored VWAP from the swing high has perfect confluence with that weekly level there. Okay, so 23,300 is an important level, and if we can claim that, then I think we could be going higher. All right, but we've got strong resistance with this low volume node of 23,600, which is basically where this, like, you know, this daily level is, and where this kind of FTR is here. As you can see, we've been going, let me just do that as a rectangle so that you guys can make a little bit more sense here. Okay, so there's an FTR there. We're going to make that as red, so it makes a little bit more sense. And you can see that on the occasion that we've kind of actually tapped that, is being confirmed as resistance. So there's going to be strong resistance right about 23,600 regardless, right? But reclaiming $23,300, which is basically this weekly level here, right, would be bullish. Okay, it would be very good, and it would be a sign that we could perhaps be getting accepted back inside of this little range here. Okay, back inside that balance. So let's get back to Coinbase. Now, let's just go back onto the weekly chart. We've already established that we got rejected on the value area low of 2022. Okay, as you can see, we've got a very prominent, it's not a big, it's a very prominent low volume area here between 24,200 and 28,500. Okay, like I've said to you guys many times before, price travels very quickly through there. That's why you can see there's very little volume there, right? So what it means is that if we do smash above a key level, then we could potentially rally very, very, very quickly, right, all the way to 28,500. It could be just basically like one big long candle, just like that, all right? Which, you know, so just be careful with your shorts at these levels, okay? So this is why I'm going on to the lower time frames to try and illustrate to you what you should be looking for in terms of shorts and longs, okay? So let's start with that. Now, on the daily chart here with the quarterly VWAP, you can see that we've got acceptance inside the previous quarter value area low. I explained this to you guys at the beginning of this week. This is bullish, right? We kind of, even on the pullbacks have been quite shallow, and the bears have not been doing a very good job of pushing this further down. However, the quarterly VWAP is all the way down here, around about $22,000, okay, 21,600 to be precise, okay? So as you can see, we've got now a little low volume node forming here, which is basically where we've been consolidating above here, and we've left hardly no price action just below there, okay? So we've got a little bit of support here around about $22,300. So that's on the daily chart. On the 4-hour chart, you start seeing and making a little bit more sense out of this. Right, and I'd posted this in the group. We had a little bit of a range going on here, right? So a little bit of balance. We tried to reach above, which is a previous level here, which is a level that we'd tried before anyway. Basically, looking at the VWAPs is a lot easier for me to explain this, right? So this faint red line that you see here is basically the June VWAP close, right? That was resistance. We tried to close above it, we couldn't. We came back again, we couldn't, okay? This became resistance here again. Eventually we broke above it. We consolidated here for a bit, and if you notice, we even confirmed it here to the dollar that it was support. And then we kind of faked to the highs, and we tried to get above $25,000. We couldn't get past 24,800, and we came back inside the range. When this comes back inside the range, of course, it confirms that the high there is resistance, and then we lost it. Okay, and it was a sign. This basically peaking above the range and coming back inside the range is always a short position. That would have been a great short entry there, and of course we went lower. Now we went lower, we've tested this range, we got rejected there. Okay, so basically it's telling us that this balance here is out of bounds, right? So we're basically rejected from this balance. Where's the next level of support? Well, we've got a few, but one that's sticking out to me like a sore thumb is this previous VWAP close here, right? And that's sitting at around about 21,550. Now, it would upset a lot of people if this large illiquid candle, which they tend to get retraced, they get retraced all the time. This one got retraced here. This one got retraced here. This one gets retraced here. Large liquid candles tend to get retraced, and this one hasn't yet. Okay? So, like I said, we've been propped by this low volume node at around about $22,400. But there's also a flag limit there that's already been taken out. Okay, and I'll show you that on the 1 hourly Okay, that's all of that liquidity has been consumed. So the next time that this goes down, I think this is basically where it's going to go. 21,600. It could be going lower. It could be going all the way to 20,400, maybe even 19,500, 19,300. Okay, I'm not sure. As you can see, this is a large, high volume cluster here with many distributions. Okay, so you can argue that this is one, that this here is another one, that this is a low volume node, right? It's a little bit sketchy when you get down there. But what I'm saying here is that this balance area has just rejected us. So therefore, we got acceptance back inside of this balance area here, which is essentially this volume cluster here, right? This is propping us as support. But I think that the next time we come down, it's already been tested once. I think the next time we come down, because of this large liquid candle, I think we got potential to going all the way down here to 21,500, which would upset a lot of people. Okay, and this is the prime play that you would see play out on a volatile day like the CPI print. Okay, so if the CPI print comes out higher than expected, that's where I expect the price to go. Okay, but at the moment, like I said, there's been plenty of reasons for it to dump lower, and it hasn't. Right, so the max, the biggest kind of dump here that we saw is 8%. It's nothing, right? So I expect a little bit a bigger pullback than that one. And even if the price came all the way down here, does it mean that that's the end of the change in structure? No, this is a low, this is a high, printed a higher high, higher low, higher high again, higher low, higher high, higher low. We're doing constructive price action, higher high again. So if it came all the way down here, that would still be higher than this one here, right? So that's still potential for a bounce here. However, if we break this market structure, if we go below 20,800, then I'm afraid that I think we're probably going to go all the way down here. But that's a different story, and that's for another day. Okay, so I just wanted to sort of like illustrate that yes, we are definitely in a bullish environment here, but we're not completely out of the water. Plus the figures that are coming out from in terms of recessions and the macro, it's not looking too pretty. Okay, it's a big bubble. All right, so the housing market, the yields, the borrowing, the borrowing is the highest it's ever been. Right, we just had an impulse, which I think is like 15 billion for the last quarter, I think it was, or for the last month, which is ridiculous, right? So everybody's everybody's struggling to pay their bills, and they thought, well, it's the school holidays, so let's just borrow it on a credit card. So it's a disaster waiting to happen. Either way, what does this have to do with crypto? Well, crypto is very closely correlated with the US economy right now. The New York session is a typical example of that, where basically we're seeing higher volatility in the New York session, and as such, America is kind of leading the way right now. Okay, so America has been very bullish on Bitcoin. You can go back and check this, that basically all of these first impulses start on the New York session. So make of that what you will. America is bullish on Bitcoin. Yes, we could see a rally, but again, for me, the key level is this level here. Okay, and that's sitting at right about $23,500. If we can go up here and reclaim it, meaning that 23,000 is now support, then for me that's a long position. I'll be targeting the top of this range here and potentially even higher. Okay, and like I said, 28,500, which is basically the edge of this balance area, will be the next level of resistance. All right, and because there's because there's hardly no volume there, right, very low volume, this could travel very quickly all the way up to here. So like I said, just be cautious with your shorts. Right? If it goes higher, doesn't mean it's going to go short. So I will look at Exocharts and tell you exactly where the invalidation is. But let's just say 23,500 is the invalidation for now, okay? Which is basically the bottom of this little range here. All right? So if we get back here and fall back out of it, for me, that's a short. However, if we go back here, confirm that this is support and it starts rolling over, then I'd get out of any shorts that I'm in. Okay, and I'm looking particularly at this area here, the top of this FTR, which is sitting around about $23,700. And I'll explain why. There's confluence there, and I'll explain why. Right? So now you've got some resistance, and you've got support levels on a 4-hour chart. Right? And I explained why. I explained the thesis as to why. Right? So I hope you guys understand that. So let's look at the 1-hour chart here on Coinbase. and just see if we can make sense out of this. In fact, I'm going to put this on the 2 hours so it becomes a little bit clearer. Now, so that's the rectangle that we were talking about, right? So that's the balance area there, right? That we got rejected from, confirmed it as resistance, and came lower, right? So I'm just going to take those rectangles. Oh, and the other rectangle there, of course, is support around about 21,300, 21,500. And you can see that's basically the last FTR, the last consolidation before that impulse. Okay, the impulse is a low volume impulse here, right? Even though there was a little bit of consolidation before, and you can see that there's a balance area here. Okay, so if we lose that low volume node, we travel through this balance here. Where would it land? Where would it land, or where would we go to next? Of course, if we're traveling inside of this balance here, then the low of the balance is around about 21,600, which is the value area low of the previous week's value. Okay, that's the value area high, that's the value area low, that's the VWAP close, the weekly VWAP close, and that's sitting at around about 21,500. Now, if you remember, 21,500, look at that, the line is there, is exactly where the previous month VWAP close is as well, right? So this is why I'm looking at contextual levels, like at levels where they all converge to the same area, so that you guys can see, so that, you know, so that we can sort of like have a higher probability, right? You can see there's a little order block there, right about 21,200, 21,500. So that's an area of interest for me, and this is why I think that that's where basically where the price would bounce, right? So you've got previous month close there. You've got the value area low of the previous week there. And you've also got very, very closely, you've got the quarterly VWAP here on the top right hand corner. You can see that yellow line there. It's very close to the quarterly VWAP there as well. Okay, so the current quarter. So this is basically the area that I'm looking for, right? That's the target. And I'm looking for a short position for these to target this, okay? The problem is you can see here the previous week VWAP close acted as support here. We swept the lows, but we've left some poor lows down there again. And it's been acting as support, right? It's been stubborn. However, let's go back and look at the whole thing about just pure price action, right? You can see that we had an order block there. This is on the 2 hour. It's a very clear 2 hour order block there, okay? It's also clear there's a little FTR here on the 1 hour, but let's just put it on the 2 hour so it makes it a little bit more clear. Now, if I'm going to put a rectangle, I'll put the magnet on as well, rectangle to exactly where that order block was, right? You can see that there, right? You can see that this has been it's pretty much consumed the whole way there, right? However, when we came back down, it still held as support. And then it held as support, held as support. These were poor lows. We swept that, and we went back up again and confirmed that this is support. However, as you can see, this has now been completely consumed because we went below it. So this is why I'm saying the next time we come down here, I don't think there's going to be any support there. All this is a void, right? So I do think that we retrace this whole thing and come all the way to here. So I just wanted to illustrate that on the shorter time frames so that you guys know what I'm talking about. So I think that's pretty clear what I'm saying, right? Unless we break above 23,600, which is this low volume area here, and stay up there, right? Meaning that this is now support, around about 23,650 or whatever. If it confirms that this is support, I'll get out of my shorts. Okay? But there is something up here, which is this order block here, that I think needs tapping. So this could be potentially a great entry for a short, and that's what I'm looking for. I want the price to do something like this, give me a great entry for a short, and then dump, right? And I think that's basically, that's my play for next week, okay? I'm not trading this weekend, I've got a weekend with the family, but that's basically what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this 2 hour order block here, right? Which is potentially even there on the 4 hour, right? Which is potentially, there you go, there. It's also on the 4 hour, which is potentially a great reversal right there, and it would basically trap a lot of the bulls, okay? So going all the way up here and then falling out of this range here is a short position, and I'll be targeting down here, right? It's a great short. But of course, if we go all the way up here, like I said, I don't want to repeat myself, go all the way up here, and it starts hovering and it confirms that this low volume node is now supported, you get the fuck out of that short, because I think we're going all the way up to here, and potentially even higher. All right, so that's basically it for Bitcoin. Let's have a look at Exocharts and just try and make sense out of this. Now, I don't want to fill your head with too much, but let's start here with, let's just put on pause what I just showed you here on the lower time frames, okay? I want to show you a few things here. Now, this is the monthly volume profile. The only naked point of control that's sticking out like a sore thumb is this one here. And that's sitting just below 20K. That's sitting at $19,700. Okay. The next naked point of control above us is way up near 50K. And the other one is way down here at 12K. So the naked point of control that we've left behind here is $19,700. Additionally, on the weekly, next naked point of control that we've got above us is above 30K. Right, just above 30K. But the one that we've left behind is sitting at $19,700, also on the weekly, right? So that's on the monthly and on the weekly. So let's have a look at the daily. $19,700 naked point of control. Okay, this is showing on every single fucking time frame. Okay, yes, we could leave it behind. I just don't think we will. Right, so potentially that short that I've been talking to you about on the lower time frames could lead us all the way down here, and this was just a massive fucking bull trap, right, where we print a high and then we sweep the highs and go lower like I showed you on the S&P. So just be aware that this one's sticking out like a sore thumb, 19,700. Am I bearish? No, this looks like constructive price action. It does look like it wants to go up, but I want to be having targets for the downside if we do dump to the downside, right? So anyway, worth noticing here on the daily volume profile as well is that we've got a naked point of control here at 23,700. Yes, there is another one at 24,500, but I want you to pay close attention to this one, 23,777. Okay, that's a naked point of control just above the price. So if we were going to go to, if we're going to go lower, correcting some of the pool lows that we've left behind in that, I think we would grab this liquidity here, 23,700. Now let's have a look at that in context on the market profile. This red rectangle that you see here is basically the value area of these two profiles merged together, as you can see here. Okay? This blue rectangle that you see here is the balance area of these four profiles merged together. Okay, so resistance above is a 2-day composite value area. Support at the moment where we're stuck, the range that we're stuck in, that we have been for the last 4 days, is a composite 4-day value area, right? That's sitting again between 22,700 and 23,300. But you can see that there's a naked point of control here, right? At 23,700 and something. Okay, so let me just take out those rectangles there. So what am I expecting to see? So you know the rectangles that I was showing you on the, in fact, I'm going to leave them on just so it makes sense. The rectangle that I was showing you on the candlestick chart is exactly the same thing that what we're doing here. This is the previous range that we were in. We got rejected from that. We retested it. We got, it's resistance, and we got below it, okay? And now we're hovering at that resistance. Now, we've got a naked point of control below us at 22,800, and we've got a naked point of control above us at 23,700. So I'm expecting lower prices, but I don't think we're going to get lower prices without a reach up first. So what I think what will happen, and I'm not sure if this will happen before the CPI, if it'll happen this weekend, or if it'll happen at the beginning of the week or whatever, but what I'm expecting to happen is this to continue consolidating here, maybe faking a little bit to the upside, getting back inside the range, faking a little bit to the downside, faking back, and this is basically what I expect for the weekend. However, I do expect this level to get taken out before we go low. But as you can see, that's inside the 2-day composite value area, which is basically that little range I was talking about. So what we have to see is, do we reach all the way up here, get rejected from the area anyway, and then go lower? Or do we go all the way up here? This level confirms as support and we start going higher. Now that is signal for me to get out of my shorts. Okay, if it's going to take that liquidity there, that point of control, I want to see this do this, swing failure pattern, and then fall out of this range, confirm that that range is indeed resistance, and we'll have to look at that in the order flow on the footprint, and then it goes lower, and once it gets accepted back inside this range, it'll probably test the resistance again, go to the other side of the range, and then as we know, we've got some pull lows here, we've got some single prints here, and we've got a naked point of control all the way down around about $21,200, $21,000. Okay, there is potential to bounce here at 21,800, 21,500, 600 here. There's basically a monthly VWAP there as well. So, you know, I'm just kind of like showing you we're above the weekly VWAP, we're above the monthly VWAP, but we've got plenty of anomalies. We've got poor lows all the way down here, right? Let me just illustrate that and show you. We've got poor lows here. We've got VWAP closes, like session VWAP closes that have been untapped. We've got a naked point of control as well at 21,200, and we've got some single prints to correct. And on top of that, and very much more importantly, is that we've got some poor lows here. Okay, so again, this is reset that. Basically, that's the poor lows I'm talking about there. Okay, so poor lows there, and at the moment there's plenty of trapped shorts down here. Okay, which is basically why it's been acting as resistance or as support. But eventually this will fall through, right? This is a single print. This is single print as well. This could act as support on the monthly VWAP at around about 21,600 and something. Okay, so I hope this kind of makes sense to you guys, or at least kind of like gives you an idea of what I'm looking for in terms of price action. I expect the price to go all the way up here, take out this naked point of control. That would be my entry for a short if the order flow shows me that we're not going to get accepted inside of this composite, right? And once we're done below 23,700, 23,600, then that means for me that's the entry for a short, and I'll be targeting 21,500. If we get accepted above 23,600 and we start going higher or threatening to go higher, I ain't going to stick around and watch. I'm just going to stay out of it, and I'm going to get out of my shorts and perhaps get long, especially if we do not get rejected here at $24,000, okay? And I'll be targeting that big level at 28,500, which is where all this liquidity is sitting. Okay, so I hope this was kind of self-explanatory. I hope it helps you stay on the right side of the trade. I'm trying to redeem myself for not doing a technical analysis for you guys on yesterday, so I was too busy. But yeah, that's basically what I want to see. In fact, I'm going to show you something else, and I want to show you this just so that you guys know what to look for. And this is perhaps a little bit clearer when we get to that key contextual level. Okay, so basically on the footprint, you don't even have to have the footprint on with the numbers and everything else. What you want to see here is you want to see a lot of the longs, which is basically either green or blue. I have it in blue, some people have it in green. You want to see a lot of the longs getting offside, basically buying at the top and then the price going lower and trapping those guys up there. That's going to be resistance. We're seeing this here already, right? We're seeing a lot of people going long at these highs here, and the price wants to head lower. Okay, so like I said, we've still got room to go up to 23,700 or whatever, right? Do a rally up like this, trap a lot of longs, and then I'm expecting much lower prices. But that's kind of what we're looking at. Okay, so I think that's enough on the Bitcoin chart. I just wanted to sort of like give you a really good kind of sort of rundown so that you guys know what to look for when it does happen. If you're not very experienced in trading, and if you can't observe this full time and like basically 24/7 here on the charts, I wouldn't be trading the CPI print on Wednesday. That's just my personal advice. I'd stay out of it and just wait until the end of it, and then just see what the market tells you. Are we going to go up or are we going to go down? Okay, so just to be perfectly clear, down here I'm a buyer, up here I'm a seller. And that's basically how I'm playing this, okay? If we break above this and confirm that I'm wrong, that this basically I shouldn't have sold here, I'll get out and I'll buy, okay? If basically I get all the way down here and it's telling me that it's going to go lower, then I get out of my buy and I sell, okay? I'm going to head lower, all right? So that's basically how I'm playing this. But at the moment, that's basically the range that I'm looking at is round about here, somewhere between 21,500 and 23,600. All right, so I hope that makes it clear. Let's move on to Ethereum. Ethereum USD looking very, very bullish, okay? So basically, we not only did we break above the previous previous year value area low. So this is 2021 VWAP, right? So this is the value area low for 2021. Not only did we break above that, we also broke above the 2022 value area, okay? We broke above it, confirmed it as support, and then we rallied, okay? And now the only thing that we're struggling is with this previous level of support, okay? So there's basically support there. When we lost it, we confirmed it as resistance. It hadn't been tapped as resistance. So now we confirmed that that is indeed resistance there, and that's what we're struggling with. If we break above this level here, the next level of interest for me is round about here, $1,900, perhaps even as high as $2,200, okay, which is basically where the yearly VWAP is. All right, if we do get what I'm thinking that we get on Bitcoin, then basically I'm looking at these low volume nodes here for support for Ethereum. This is basically the balance area that we're in. I just drew a little sideways penis. Yeah, so basically this here is a high volume cluster. And once we come back down, if Bitcoin dumps, right, and everything dumps or whatever, I want to see this hold as support, around about $1,400, okay? $1,300 is the line in the sand. If this doesn't hold as support, then it's over for Ethereum. I think we're going to go much lower because this was previous resistance, and previous resistance needs to hold as support. Okay, I don't think we're going to go as low as 1,300, to be perfectly honest. I think 1,400 if we're lucky, right? 1,500 is a big number, right? So we might not even see that. We might see like 1,460, 1,440, like that on a wick, something like that, and then get straight back inside this balance, right? This is a balance area. So let me just put it as a rectangle so that you guys can see a little bit better here. So that's basically what I'm looking for, playing inside of that range. All right, so down at these lows you want to be a buyer, up at these highs so far it's paid off to be a seller. Okay, so you just want to be careful with this low volume area because we could go a little bit higher here, and then just like we did here, we poked above, but then we got sort of back in the range again. All right, so that's basically what I'm looking on the higher time frames here for Ethereum. It is looking bullish. We've got an inside 2021 and 2022 value. Okay, so that's definitely bullish, but we want to pay attention to Bitcoin and everything else because Ethereum just follows everything else. Okay, on the daily chart you can see here that basically this was that level of previous resistance. Okay, for $1,300. Once we broke above that, we confirmed that this is support, and now we are above the quarterly VWAP, above the value area high of the current quarterly VWAP. Okay, and we're also above the value area low of the previous quarter. Okay, so with this level here around about $1,968, $2,000, something like that, as being the next level of resistance, right? So that's basically on the daily chart with the quarterly VWAP. Let's have a look at the 4-hour chart. Again, very, very bullish, right? So we bounced from the value area low of the June VWAP, okay? The June VWAP close was resistance. Once we broke above that, it just rallied, went straight to the other side of value. Okay, this was resistance for a while. We came back here. I think we bounced on the 200 EMA. That's exactly what we bounced on. That's that yellow line. Okay, so that's on the 4-hour chart. We bounced on that 200 EMA, and then we just rallied up above, right? And now where are we finding support? We're finding support at that June value area high, right here, right about $1,560. Okay, it's bounced on there a couple of times, including on the value area high of this last month of July. So Ethereum is looking, it's looking great. I can't lie about that, right? So it's definitely looking great. However, targets for the upside, I've got 1,880 here as a low volume area. So we could definitely do a swing failure pattern here. If Bitcoin does go up to that naked point of control, we could do something like this. And then if it falls back inside of this range, then we're going to head lower. Okay, and then depending how far Bitcoin goes, if Bitcoin goes to 21,500, I think we've got potential on Ethereum to go all the way to $1,400, which is basically the edge of this low volume area here. Okay, so basically I'm looking at this whole thing here as a volume cluster. All right, so basically these levels down here would be kind of a previous balance. Okay, so it's basically I'm looking, this is another balance here. Does that make sense? I hope this makes sense. Okay, balance area here, much bigger one. Okay, and you've got a low volume node in between them. Okay, which is around about $1,400 exactly. All right. It also very, very close to the previous month close there. Okay, the VWAP close around about 1364. So make of that what you will. It just kind of lines up, okay? We haven't seen a decent pullback. I mean, this is not a decent pullback on Ethereum, okay? Or on Bitcoin. We haven't seen a really decent pullback for quite some time. If I was to put here the golden pocket, right? The golden pocket actually goes much lower, around about $1,300, okay? Right to the edge of this balance here. So we could see a much bigger pullback on Ethereum all the way down here to $1,300, but that's, you know, that's definitely going to be a buy down here. That's definitely a buy. But I don't want to buy at these highs, right? At these moments, where I am now, where we are now, I'm really looking for shorts. There's no two ways about it, okay? I've missed out on the buys, right? I could have bought the bottom. I didn't. I was too scared. I thought that we're going to go much lower, and I didn't buy it, okay? I had a few trades here, nice successful trades and stuff, but, you know, I want to be a buyer, especially if we're going much further up, and for me, the levels are down here, around about $1,400 at 1320, okay? So I think that kind of explains where I'm looking for on Ethereum. On the lower time frames, it's not really that kind of like relevant, in my personal opinion. The only thing that is kind of like a little bit relevant is that, let me just take this volume profile off a second, right? That we've got a little balance area going on here, right? We got rejected from there, we came lower, we tested it as resistance here, and then we rallied here, we got rejected, but then we went higher, and here we are again. So if I was to extend this, look at that, we're back inside of that balance, okay? So again, I want to look for a peekaboo up here somewhere, like a swing failure pattern. If we fall back inside of this range, that's a sign that we're going lower. But again, Ethereum just does what Bitcoin does, right? It's just it just gets pushed around by Bitcoin, all right? So even though it's been outperforming Bitcoin for quite some time, as we'll see on the ETH BTC chart, you just want to pay attention to that, because if Bitcoin decides to have a massive dump, Ethereum will follow. Okay, perhaps not as bad, but Ethereum will definitely follow. All right, so that's Ethereum. I think you've got some levels of resistance. Of course, like I didn't really say, but I'm looking at $1,800 for resistance, which is around about this level here. Okay, 1780, $1,800 for resistance, basically just above this range here, right? And again, we're looking to play this range here, right? If it peaks above that, confirms back inside, then we're going lower. If it peaks above that, confirms it as support, then we're going higher. Okay, so obviously if we lose this low level here, then we're going to go much lower, and we're looking at that $1,400, which is this low volume area down here that I've been talking about. Okay, this is where we bounced previously. All right, so that's basically Ethereum versus USD. So now finally just Ethereum versus BTC, and if we start on ETH BTC chart on the weekly, you can see that this is like incredibly bullish. It looks like, you know, it looks like it just wants to rally, right? So again, we broke above 2021 value area high. We accepted inside this year's value. We bounced on the yearly VWAP, and we're still testing. In fact, we've just broken above that. No, we haven't. Okay. So we're testing right now the value area high of the current year. Okay, which is basically this level here at 74,000 sats, okay, 75,000 sats. And this is basically the levels that I've been telling you guys that we're going to be resistance for quite some time, and it is indeed resistance, right? So I'm just going to adjust this because obviously the value area high has moved, so I'm going to adjust it just a little bit further up to that value area high right there at around about 74,800 sats. Okay, that's indeed resistance right now. If we could break above this, then the next level of resistance will be this one, and we'll be ranging somewhere in here. Okay, we do have a low volume area here around about 78,000 sats, so you got to be careful with that. But again, if we break above this, then I'm pretty sure that that's the next level of resistance. If we get rejected here and we go back to support, then I think that this here is support, and I'll adjust that as well, because as you can see here, this is the high volume cluster there, balance area, and therefore we would be sort of like rotating inside of this range here. You can see we've got the trend line from all the way back from 2021, right? 27th of June 2021 as support. We've also got the yearly VWAP here, which is this blue line that's got reset 2022, right? So 2022 VWAP, we've got a trend line, and we've got the edge of a, I mean, you can argue that this is actually a much bigger balance area. But if I make this a little bit more granular like this, where was it? There we go. Okay, you can see you've got a little double distribution here, okay, with some low volume areas below us. Okay, so I believe that this is support, around about 70,000 sats as support, 75,000 sats as resistance. If we break above 75,000 sats, we're looking at 80,000 sats for the next level of resistance. If we can all break above that and we break below the yearly VWAP, then I'm looking at around about 65,000 sats all the way down here. Well, it's more like 63,000 sats, okay, all the way down here. But I think we stay within this range for now. All right, so that's on the higher time frames. If I look at the shorter time frames, let me just take all these brush marks off so it makes a little bit more sense. You can see level of resistance being tagged there. This is previous support, which was previous resistance, right? So again, the range that I'm looking for is this range here, right? It is bullish. There's no two ways about it. I mean, we are above the monthly VWAP. Let's just reframe all of this. Top left hand corner, we're above the yearly VWAP there. Okay, let me just take this off. We're above the yearly VWAP. Top right hand corner, we're above the quarterly VWAP. Bottom right hand corner, we're above the monthly VWAP. And on the bottom left, you can see we're above the weekly. And we are above most of the value area highs of all of these VWAPs, with exception of the yearly and the quarterly, the previous quarter, right? So, you know, it's very, very bullish for Ethereum versus BTC. So I wouldn't fade this, okay? But of course, I'd much rather be holding Ethereum than Bitcoin. But of course, like I said, if Bitcoin does dump to 21,500, Ethereum will also dump. But the areas that are looking for support, we already know. We're looking at round about that yearly VWAP at round about 70,000 sats, no lower than that. If we lose that level, then I'm afraid it's going to be a big dump all the way to at least 63,000 and perhaps even lower to 55,000 sats. Okay, so that's basically it. That's all I've got for this weekend. I hope you guys stay on the right side of the trades. Like I said, I don't like trading weekends. It's low, it's higher volatility, low liquidity. Sometimes the market's just dead. There's just no point. But I will be back on Monday with another TA update. Just be aware of the volatility, especially on Monday morning. As like I said, on the S&P, a lot of these people, especially if we've not managed, if we're not managed to reclaim this balance area, a lot of people are going to be taking profits here and anticipating a high CPI print in terms of inflation, right? And if that's the case, we'll be heading all the way down here. And, you know, this on Monday could be like a slow bleed all the way there because the CPI print's not till Wednesday, right? So we could see that typical slow bleed all the way to the lows in anticipation of that CPI print. Or we could see a massive dump because some big whale takes profit and we go all the way to support and then wait for the CPI print for Wednesday. So, you know, either way, just be careful. If we see a massive dump like that, there's no way that Bitcoin will not react to that. And if Bitcoin reacts, so will Ethereum. And that means like that dump to 21,500 could come as early as Monday morning. So just be careful with that. But anyway, that's all I've got for you. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope this keeps you on the right side of the market. Have a great weekend, and I'll speak to you guys on Monday morning. Cheers. Bye-bye.